In an around-the-world race, after passing the Cape Horn, one tends to think the worst is in the wake. Reality is often different. Men and equipment have been through the mill, and ambushes are everywhere during the Atlantic's ascent. I don't think the floating object non-identified hit the keel. It hit the rudder, and unfortunately, there are weird-looking sways. I think it's damaged. In the water you can see the carbon wires and the shape of the log. But the solid part, the structural part, is behind, so the rudder won't break. It's bent out of shape, but in working order. At Alessandro di Benedetto's, again a split halyard and a gennaker that ended in the water. I caught a gennaker, it looks like. I almost have it on board. Still several meters to get back on board, but the sail is badly torn. Now, I have to set out the mainsail. So, back to work. To the winch. After the effort, the comfort. And for the Franco-Italian, comfort is almost an evidence. I'll see. I'll eat some pasta. I made myself pasta for after several hours of work. On the 70th day of the race, while snow has covered the race's headquarters in Paris, Armel has rather warm words. I sailed close to Cape Frio in Brazil, near Rio. A little complicated with fishermen and cargoes, even saw fireworks on the coastline. It makes me dream of a cruise ship, to stop at all these places I wasn't able to. That's what I feel like. 650 miles is the lateral gap separating Armel 9th to Javier Sanso 8th, whose option was to go further in the open. I'd made the decision to go eastward to try and catch the east winds sooner. But Cape Frio's low pressure was very intense and lasted longer than I thought. It's still there. I paid the toll for moving east, but fortunately wasn't left behind. I'm still there. Off Brazil, more to the north, Dominique Vavre and Jean Le Cam echo the difficult conditions. Rough sea, sailboats and oil platforms are their daily fate in those vicinities. The night was particularly tiresome. 20 knots wind. I'm all shaken. Rain, rough sea, with 2.5 meters troughs. That's it. About the same yesterday and the day before. Was only able to sleep half an hour this morning. Nothing overnight. Warrant officer, I like it when it hurts, sent us 4 days. 4 days of hell. Forced us to go towards Rio. Follow the coastline with currents and impossible sea. Thank you, warrant officer, I like it when it hurts. I hope there won't be any more of those surprises in the future. 1,500 miles ahead of Jean Le Cam in the northern hemisphere, Alex Thomson, 4th, passed serenely the Poteau Noir. The Hugo Boss skipper, whose intentions are clear, is motivated as ever.
And staying motivated, you know, if my goal was to win, frankly, right now I'd probably be a bit demotivated because it would be a bit with it, you know, out of my grasp. So, you know, my goals at the moment are to try and finish 3rd and to try and break 80 days.
Far from these issues, by 50 degrees south, Alessandro di Benedetto climbed up his mast and solved his halyard problems. But troubles amass. Upon bearing off, the main sheet hit him in the face, and he fell heavily in the cockpit. I'm much better now. Things are getting back into place. I'm showing you my best profile, because the other's still swollen. For the moment, I'm on painkillers, cream, and very little rest. Because on a 60 feet while racing, it's impossible if you want to move on. Here, I'm speeding a bit like François Gabard at 16 knots average. There, makes me laugh. Hurts my ribs, so I'll stop playing silly. which shows that the Vendée Globe's bottom can sail as fast as the Vendée Globe's top, sometimes. It's since the very start that François Gabard averages 50 knots, closely followed by Armel le Cléac'h. Unless a hitch, victory will be for one of those two. But it's a known fact, as long as the finishing line isn't crossed, anything can happen. Pierre Dick knows that saying. I lost my keel 24 hours ago. The boat's like a bar of soap. Could capsize at any time. I either go on to Les Sables d'Olonne, handling the boat cautiously, paying extra attention to the North Atlantic depressions, or abandon my third place here in the Azores. The next 2 days, it's not an easy decision, I can tell you. Confronted to this Cornelian choice still in the race, our chap is now in airless hands to close his second Vendée Globe. As does Armel le Cléac'h, but not for the same reasons, upon nearing the Azores anticyclone. Torn between protecting the equipment and the weather forecast analysis, the Banque Populaire skipper racks his brain. Normally, François must have slowed down now. Then he'll catch the wind a little ahead of us, which is normal. So we hope by being more out west to get more pressure in for a little longer. The end of the race will surely be fast, choppy because of the strong downwind and the sea. We'll have to be vigilant to avoid going off track, particularly in the Gascogne Gulf and in Les Sables d'Olonne. Since December 8th, the Vendée Globe hasn't had another leader but Armel le Cléac'h and François Gabard. And since December 31st, on the eve of crossing the Cape Horn, the Massif skipper is at the lead, close to reaching the stars. There, a nice sunset. Haven't set the spinnaker yet, but that will be underway in the next hour. Knock on wood, for the moment, there's wind. So I'm rather happy of this beautiful sunset. The leader's strategy is to round the edge of the Azores anticyclone center on a route that passes under the archipelago of the same name. That way, François Gabard hopes to find a perfect angle to the wind to reach Les Sables d'Olonne. A few days before arrival, focus is at its peak at the head of the race. Time is no longer to communicate. Images from the open will become scarce. It's one of the last videos on board Banque Populaire in this Vendée Globe. We're under the sun right now. We're enjoying it. Because after it's going to become overcast, strong winds expected, the weekend will be choppy. Anyway, everything's well here. Thank you all who encouraged me and followed me through the race. See you soon in Les Sables. As the first two in the ranking have started upon their last week in the race, days at sea will be slower to shell off for the others. And one, Jean Le Cam, hasn't stored away his camera yet. At a cable's length from the equator, the SynerCiel skipper, never short of an explanation, reveals an interesting insight on hydro generators. These much raved about famous hydro generators. We've talked about many things on board SynerCiel, but not yet about energy. Energy is a key factor on this Vendée Globe. We saw with Bernard Stem's troubles. So on SynerCiel, we have two hydro generators. These hydro generators, well, they're quite fantastic little things. In fact, they're two little rooters with propellers on their tip. And they produce energy. Here we have the hydro generator that's up. This one is the port side hydro generator that's lifted along with the rooter. It's at rest, so to speak. Whereas our starboard hydro generator let's call it Albert. Well, Albert is in full use and produces a maximum energy. Here we have the two hydraulic pumps The two power converters, the current that's from out there is converted here, and they're re-injected in the batteries. In this great battery right here. So this is SynerCiel's energy system.
D'énergie de SynerCiel.
Off Brazil, 7th in the ranking, Dominique Vavre isn't unhappy to live up his last days in the southern hemisphere. The South Atlantic has been long and difficult. Feels good to be over with it. We can set full north. Really feels great to head straight to Les Sables d'Olonne. We've been waiting long for this, so finally, straight route to Les Sables d'Olonne. Les Sables d'Olonne, waiting for the event's outcome. It's over the weekend that the 7th Vendée Globe will give its verdict and reveal Michel Desjoyeux's successor. In any case, an exceptional skipper who will have closed the tie in less than 80 days and blasted the 84 days record time record established by former winner. According to François Gabard, who seems to be in best position to succeed to his mentor, such a leap forward has an explanation. We're going fast. I think that with Armel we have great boats, well prepared, always at their 100% potential. And on top of that, rather good weather conditions, so it's easier to go fast that way. Always easier. And if ever I came into contact with Armel in the coming days, I'll be happy to reach those speeds.